Hello, everybody.
Man.
Those of you who were here this morning and were privy to my statements about my heating situation, uh, I made sure I put this heater right up on me, so I should be good for the show. All right, cool. I should be good to go. I shouldn't be freezing too badly. Um, but you know how this works. So, in any case, we are back today. Let me get Facebook up and running
Yeah.
here. And we got some stuff to go over, including, and not it's not really that cool of a thing, but Jack Smith released his so-called report.
Mm.
It's 174 pages long, give or take, with the intro and table of contents and his exit statement. So you're probably looking at about 168, 69 pages. However, the question remains: what's in it, and what exactly is he espousing? And if what he's saying is true, how is it that Trump hasn't been charged with what is exactly in his documentation? Now, this is what we're going to talk about. So we're going to start off by showing y'all first his little nuclear post that he has. U.S. Department of Justice Jackie Smith, special counsel. He says in the fall of 2022, Trump was the subject of two separate criminal investigations. First was an investigation into whether any person violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election. And I'm still trying to figure out how he was brought into this, considering he can say what he wants, but he never brought anything to court, so he didn't really have any. He can say what he wants about it. I mean, I don't understand that.
Remind me, during this time, he was appointed, but he's not really like he held no official capacity to do this.
Right. Precisely.
Yeah. Just making sure.
The second investigation focused on the possession of highly classified documents at Trump's Mar-a-Lago club following his presidency. Now, my question here is, if they are that intent on trying to find violations of law, how is it that a senator and a vice president was able to have documentation in his garage, but nothing was done about it? It's obvious, pretty obvious to us, that this was political.
Yes,
very much so.
And when they did find the documents, don't forget that he couldn't stand trial because of his cognitive.
He was too incompetent. Yes,
he's too incompetent. So yeah, they found it, they acknowledged it, but for him to stand trial, he was.
What was the official terminology they used? It was he's a what, a senile sweet gentleman kind of a thing.
He's a grandpa.
Yeah, something like that.
He smells like camphor balls and whey.
Sulfur
and camphor balls.
Yeah,
that's probably why he likes smelling other people, because they smell better than he does. So you get the idea of why his whole thing is, and it's about those two individual respectful things. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In that intro, he goes to talk about how much he knows what he's supposed to be doing is, it's on his shoulders, and he's got to get this right, and we want to make sure that we uphold the standard of the law, and of course, the nobody's above the law, nonsensical stupidity, because that's all they do. Okay, so now we're going to get to the crux of the matter. Volume 1, the election case, reports on efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election, or the certification of the Electoral College vote held on January 6th. Now, everybody knows, if you were to, a logically thinking person, which there are very few anymore, if you were to listen to his entire speech, nowhere in his speech could they ever have come up with him saying storm the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single spot, not anywhere, nowhere, not nothing. So the entire premise of their lawsuit was fallacious to begin with.
Yep.
Okay. If I were to be honest about Jack Smith, I would be banned from multiple platforms.
And this case was all based off feelings, because we know Democrats, they're all emotional, and they base all their assumptions. Everything's based off of feeling.
Yeah.
So they felt it was a feeling that Donald Trump told them to storm the Capitol, because this is how we felt when we heard those words, fight, fight, fight. We felt as if that was the dog whistle for them.
Yes.
To go into take the Capitol. Yeah. Without any guns or weapons.
So he says that this is in pursuant of 28 CFR 600.8 section C. What does that actually say?
I can't say it.
Section C says closing documentation at the conclusion of the special counsel's work, he or she shall provide the attorney general with a confidential report explaining the prosecution and declination decisions reached by the special counsel. So this is what he's doing, which tells me it has no real merit on its face legally. It is just in an effort to get the public aroused in some way, shape, form, or fashion over something that has zero effect on the current incoming president. Okay, just want you all to know that.
And on that note, Marlon, you got to give them credit. You got to give the Democrats on the left and whoever else is in charge. You have to give them credit, because it actually worked. It worked very good when it came to the population, because they're still spewing this trash right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So let's look at that. This is filler. Look at this. All of that, and then a whole blank page. Typical Democrat.
So we can draw
Volume 1, the election case, the results of the investigation, Mr. Trump's pressure on state officials, Mr. Trump's fraudulent elector plan, wasn't his plan, by the way, Trump's misuse of official power through the Justice Department, but I don't see how that happens. How is that part of January 6th?
Well,
how is that? Anyway, pressure on the vice president. Trump supporters attack the United States Capitol. The law, conspiracy to defraud the United States, obstruction and conspiracy to obstruct, conspiracy against rights. Can anybody tell me what rights were violated on January 6th?
The right to commit fraud on their end, maybe.
So we're gonna look up all of these. Let me see what exactly the defrauding of America is. Let me grab that real quick and put that in here. So that says, because we got to make sure we get everything. If two or more persons conspire either to commit any offense against the United States or to defraud the United States or any agency thereof in any manner or for any purpose, or one or more of such persons do any act to affect the object of the conspiracy, each shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 5 years or both. If, however, the offense, the commission of which is the object of the conspiracy, is a misdemeanor only, the punishment for such conspiracy shall not exceed the maximum punishment provided by such a misdemeanor. Anybody notice something weird? There's no defining anything in that?
No.
Okay. No. I'm glad everybody realized that too. There was no defining, no really telling you what it is that they're talking about this defrauding is. It never tells you what the defrauding is. I find that kind of ironic that you're mentioning something about fraud, but you don't tell us what the fraud is supposedly being. I'm confused.
And you know why, Marlon? Because they know that the average American isn't going to ask. They're not going to ask that question. They're just going to see fraud, and they're going to run with fraud.
So let's look at 18 U.S. 1512. They said this is what under what number this is be. So all of 18 and K. So let's go to K and also C2. Okay, so we're going to go to C2 first. C2. All right. Whoever uses physical force or the threat of physical force against any persons or attempts to do so with intent to influence, delay, or prevent the testimony of any person in an official proceeding. That didn't happen, though.
Not at all. Not a one.
I'm confused how that happened. What else? So he says so far that he's batting 0 for 100. What's K? Let's look at K.
Real quickly, Marlon. Back to the conspiracy to defraud the United States. There's the legal definition of defrauding as follows: to conspire to defraud the United States means primarily to cheat the government out of property or money, but it also means to interfere with or obstruct one of its lawful governmental functions by deceit, craft, or trickery, or at least by means that are dishonest. Which none of that happened.
At all. I can see why your case got tossed out, Jackie boy. Anyway, but we digress. K says, whoever conspires to commit any offense under this section shall be subject to the same penalties as those prescribed for the offense, the commission of which was the object of the conspiracy. Again, they have so far not stated a single thing linked to Trump. Not one. Not a single one. So now we'll go to 18.241. Let's go to that one and see if that one might stick. We got to get the premise down first. Conspiracy against rights. If 2 or more persons conspire to injure, oppress, threaten, or intimidate any person in any state, territory, commonwealth, possession, or district in the free exercise or enjoyment of any right or privilege secured by him by the Constitution or laws of the United States, or because of his having so exercised the same. That sounds like Ashley Babbitt. I would think that Jack Smith would have brought that guy to punishment as well for conspiracy against rights.
They're not going to go after their own goons.
No. Of course not.
They shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years or both. And if death results from the acts, committed in violation of this section, or if such acts include kidnapping or an attempt to kidnap, aggravated assault, sexual abuse, or an attempt to commit aggravated sexual abuse, or an attempt to kill, they shall be fined under this title or imprisoned to any term of years of life, or both, and may be sentenced to death. Now, who died at J6? Ashley Babbitt.
Ashley Babbitt. Yep.
Which wasn't a trial, which wasn't a sentencing. It was a flat out. What is it? Shoot, like she was killed on sight.
And she was murdered.
She was murdered, right?
Yeah, she was murdered. No weapon. A little female, no weapon, and he shot her dead. Now, the only thing that I think they would, when they bring up the death, they always talk about that one officer that was bludgeoned and all that other stuff, which never happened. The one that had a stroke after the day after. The day after, they try to blame that on what happened to him on J6. So they try to tie all these deaths that had nothing to do with J6
on him. Okay. So let's look at this. Prosecuting Mr. Trump served multiple substantial federal interests. Oh, what? Wait. The substantial federal interest in protecting the integrity of the electoral process and the peaceful transfer of power. He didn't, again, doesn't apply to Mr. Trump because he didn't ask for violence.
No.
The substantial federal interest in counting every citizen's vote was served by Mr. All of them were counted. Didn't know what you said?
Mm-hmm.
Did he prevent it? No. Did anything he asked for got done? No. So how did he do any of that? Okay. The substantial federal interest in protecting election officials. He never threatened anybody.
Nope.
No violence was ever uttered by him. The substantial federal interest in the even-handed administration of law. Apparently that didn't happen either because there was nothing even-handed about your administration doing its thing.
Right.
Trump was not the subject of effective prosecution in another jurisdiction. There was no adequate non-criminal alternative to prosecution. Mr. Trump's conduct had no historical analog. Again, none of this has any actual merit in court, which is why it got tossed.
So this is all speculative and allegations.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the best one. Threats and harassment of witnesses. Which witnesses?
Oh,
Is he just
who did he threaten and harass?
wait? What witnesses?
What?
There was no case, right? How are you going to have a witness? What witness are you talking about? There wasn't a case going on to have witnesses. Anyway, on November 18, 2022, the Attorney General appointed the special counsel to oversee an ongoing investigation into whether any person or entity violated the law in connection with efforts to interfere with the lawful transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election or the certification of the Electoral College vote held. Hold on. You know me. I'm weird, right? I'm weird. Here's my question for the two of you who are smarter than me.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Do you need to investigate whether the law was broken if on your investigation onset you're alleging that he did break the law?
Do you need to investigate if the law was broken?
Do you need to investigate whether the law was broken if your initial start to this was the premise he broke the law?
No.
No.
You should already know what law he broke,
Yeah.
right?
Should already know.
So why are
Yeah,
you
I mean-
investigating whether or not any person or entity violated the law?
Interesting.
I mean, to me, it's just a simple question. It might be stupid, right? However, you said you are doing an ongoing investigation. So you started it off looking, it sounding like you started off this thing hoping to find a person or entity that violated some kind of law. Otherwise, in your premise, you would have had a reasonable statement that somebody did, one, and you would know which law, two, not go
Mhm.
find the law and associate it with the person you're talking about.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure I'm reading this correctly. That's all.
Does
See
it
the
make
office of the Attorney
sense?
General.
No, but
no sense. As a result of that investigation on August 1st, 2023, a federal grand jury in the District of Columbia charged Donald J. Trump with 4 felony offenses arising from his efforts to unlawfully retain power by using fraud and deceit to overturn the 2020 election results. After the Supreme Court held last summer that Mr. Trump was immune from prosecution for certain misuse of official power alleged in the indictment, the second grand jury found probable cause to return a superseding indictment charging the same offenses based on his non-immunized conduct. Mr. Trump was therefore reelected as president of the United States, and as a result, on November 25th, 2024, the special counsel moved to dismiss the case against Mr. Trump because the Justice Department's longstanding position that the Constitution forbids the federal indictment and prosecution of a sitting president. Here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Is he the sitting president?
no.
No.
Incumbent president, but that's not the language that was used.
I'm just trying to figure out how your statement as to why you withdrew your thing affected him because he's not president now. Something tells me you did that because you didn't have a case and you're using that as your excuse.
Exactly what I was going to say. Because if he had something, those 3.5 years that Trump was just a regular citizen,
They could have got him.
He could have got him.
Yeah.
They didn't
Long
have
time
it.
ago. But they didn't.
He has been out since 2020, right?
Yes. Nothing better.
And he didn't say he was running in 2024 until 2022-ish, late 2, early 3, right?
Yep.
Okay. So you had, if you knew this information on the 20th, on January 6th, you started your investigation right away. You're trying to tell me that you had no inclination to file this fully until you heard he was running for re-election? Really? Huh. All right. Yeah, nothing at all fishy about that. No. Mr. Trump was therefore reelected as president of the United States, and as a result, on November 20, like you can't do the citizen prayer. This volume focuses on the election case against Mr. Trump and consistent. I thought he was president. Maybe we should address him correctly. And consistent with the applicable regulations, provides an explanation of the prosecution decisions reached by the special counsel. The second section discusses the statute that Mr. Trump was charged with violating, applying to the fact developed during the investigation to the law as the special counsel's office understood it. Oh, wait. What? I want to read that again so y'all catch it. The second section discusses the statutes that Mr. Trump was charged with violating, applying the facts developed during the investigation to the law as the special counsel's office understood it. Here's my question again. Did he break a law or did he not?
Weren't they investigating to see if he broke a law?
Yeah, but all I'm saying is if he broke it, then there's nothing to understand about it.
Yeah.
It's the law. Am I right? Am I missing something?
No, you're right. It should be clean cut. Hey, he broke the law. Here it is.
Here's
X, Y, and Z. That's it.
Right.
That's what we call fishing.
Yeah, thank you. This section also addresses other charges that the office considered but did not pursue. And the defenses that the office expected Mr. Trump to raise at trial. The third section explains why the special counsel decision to prosecute Mr. Trump was fully consistent with and indeed was compelled by the principles of federal prosecution. The fourth section describes the office investigation procedures and policies. Finally, the fifth section of this volume discusses a series of investigative and prosecutive issues that the office confronted in the election case. We're going to come back to it, but it sounds an awful lot like fishing.
It is.
You don't really have what he did. You are looking to find something about what he did. You are only doing it as far as you understand. And there are tons of other things that he could have been charged with, but you decided not to charge him with. It seems like you picked and chose which ones you wanted to based on the most egregious points of it, not the truth of it, just the points of it.
Yeah, I think he picked the ones that he thought would stick, which they didn't.
Or at least put him in the worst light.
Yeah, and my question is like, if you got all those J6ers and you charge them all, they're all locked up. Wouldn't you think having all those people in jail that supposedly took orders from the person that was former president, don't you think they could have got him too? Supposedly he gave him the orders to do this, but you scooped all those people up, threw them in a jail cell.
And not charge them either, by the way.
And not charge them, but yet the guy that supposedly told them to do it,
he's still
he's still free. Because
mind you, they were charged almost same week. Hear me out. You arrest people who were there the same week, and you said Trump was the one that incited it, but you didn't arrest him.
Makes no sense.
Mind you, the Supreme Court had not made that immunity decision back in 2021.
Yep.
Did they?
Nope.
No. So you're telling me you arrested all the folks that did stuff, but not the folk on the blowhorn telling them to go do stuff? That's what you want me to believe?
And not only did they tell the people who didn't do stuff, accusing them of doing stuff, but then without any due process, put them in prison for not doing stuff.
Yeah, and I said this before. I think all this was a scare tactic. They knew it was wrong. This is why they've been sitting in there for so long without any trial, without any due process. And I think I don't think they really wanted to throw Trump in jail personally. I think they just wanted to ruin his reputation and kind of put a charge on him to keep him from running for president before this immunity thing came out. And they locked all these people up as a scare tactic to other citizens that it won't be tolerated. And if you guys try it again, these are the things that can happen.
Do you also think that by throwing these people, it into prison without due process, it also tries to put a damper on the morale of the MAGA movement too.
Yeah,
because this is your leader. The reason why you're in prison is because of your leader, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
The other question I had is it illegal to vocally deny the results of something?
No.
That falls under a different constitutional right, doesn't it? There's
Mhm.
There's one. What's the one thing it falls under?
Yeah, I think it's the first one.
The first one. The one. Yeah, the
first
one. Yeah. And it's also weird that you don't have that information given to the person that you're bringing this accusation. And that covers a different one. It's 3 and 3.
4?
The sixth. I think it's the sixth. Yeah,
sixth.
Your Sixth Amendment right. They avoided giving Trump his Sixth Amendment right. You see, kind of weird that you have all these accusations, but you don't actually, and you want to talk about people not doing this and not doing that while you yourself are participating in the same. So let's continue. 2020, Trump ran for re-election against Sleepy Biden and lost. You don't know that, but that's what you put. As alleged in the original and superseding indictment, substantial evidence where is it?
I don't
Substantial
think that
evidence
word means.
demonstrates that Mr. Trump had engaged in an unprecedented, listen to this, unprecedented criminal effort to overturn the legitimate results of the election in order to retain power. Prove that.
That's a lofty statement.
Trust me.
Prove to me, because hey, look, if you say it's unprecedented criminal effort, your case should have been open, closed.
Yep.
Criminal effort.
It's a very lofty statement.
Hey, that's some powerful stuff. Although he did here. But the only thing that's missing is what happened.
You see what?
I mean, just read it from the beginning.
Trust me, bro. Trust me. Trust me, bro.
As alleged in the original and superseding indictment, substantial evidence demonstrates that Mr. Trump then engaged in an unprecedented criminal effort to overturn the legitimate results of the election in order to retain power. But what had happened was
he didn't do it. That's what happened. We thought he did. Our feelings, we felt like this is what he wanted to do. You know, by his tone, you know, the words he used. We felt like Donald Trump wanted to overturn the election. Even though he didn't really do it, he didn't physically try to overturn it. We thought that's what he wanted because he didn't agree with the decision.
And he vocalized that disagreement.
And he vocalized the disagreement just like Hillary did, just like Pelosi did, just like all these media pundits did when Trump won in 2016. They were calling it illegitimate. Stacey Abrams. I mean, they did the same thing. I'm just saying.
That's hilarious. You see, okay, now, okay, he did, but okay, let me clarify real quick what he actually. Okay, watch.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Although he did so primarily in his private capacity as a candidate. Hold on.
Wait, what?
I'm confused.
Was he a private citizen?
Although he did so primarily as a private citizen, as a candidate, and with assistance from multiple private co-conspirators, Mr. Trump also attempted to use the power and authority of the United States government in how? How though? How? Have there been anybody else in government that was charged and arrested? Anyone else?
Hey, I have a question. Was Trump a private citizen or was he a public servant at the time?
At Jan 6th, he still hasn't handed over the power of the presidency.
Okay, so he was still president.
Yes.
Okay, just asking. You know, make sure.
As set forth in the original superseding indictments, when it became clear that Mr. Trump had lost the elections and that lawful means of challenging the election results had failed, no, they hadn't. No, they hadn't. No, they hadn't. You see, here's the thing about challenging. None of the cases that anybody brought about the election was ever shut down by the courts. I want people to be aware of that. No cases were actually heard.
Yeah.
So you can't say that all efforts failed. The efforts can continue right today they can do it. In fact, last I heard on TikTok and everywhere else is that Trump was the one that was the one taking stuff now, and that Biden should challenge it. I wonder what would happen if Biden challenged it. Huh.
Nothing. They'd praise it.
An indictment. Go ahead.
I mean, these are the same people when, Kamala was certifying the election. They were hoping that she wouldn't do it. The same people that were shaming Trump and his supporters for questioning the election in 2020 are the same people that wanted Kamala to not certify the election for the obvious winner.
Oh, hey, Greg. Hey, Grandpa Greg. Glad you legal scholars with many years of experience are clarifying all this. Are you a legal scholar, Greg? You want to come tell us about these legal documents? You know what it's called, Greg? It's called reading. You ever heard about reading? It's something that people with a brain do, Greg.
Go back to the hospice.
All right, Greg. Now, hear me out. If we are considered, this whole sarcastic legal scholars, why are you believing it if you're not a legal scholar? How do you know to prove what he's saying if you're not a legal scholar? Are you trying to tell us that only legal scholars should listen to the document as well? Or is it that only legal scholars should confront it and refute it? So if I'm not a legal scholar in any matter, I shouldn't be having an opinion about this either way. So why is he releasing it? For who to read? Legal scholars or the layman?
Marlon, he's a trust the experts guy. He's jabbed.
Some people do not get wise with age, and Greg is a prime example that not only do you not get wise with age, but you become a cuck.
For the government.
Basically.
There is Greg. Greg Analane is what I'm going to call you from now on. Greg Analane. Legal scholars. It's called having awareness of what words mean, Greg.
Don't hospice have like curfews for internet use?
I would think so, or at least a halfway house should.
Yeah, something.
Greg went and bought himself a nice $2 jacket from Goodwill and said, "I look like a professional now."
He got his JCPenney freaking profile pic.
Sissy boy. Anyway, an indictment is an allegation, not a verdict. I'm glad you said that, because all the way up, you said he was indeed guilty of all the things you have indicted him for. You seem pretty matter of fact there, Jack, that all of this stuff he is indeed guilty of. But now you're saying it's only an allegation, not a verdict. I like how you put that in the small part. A person accused of a crime is presumed but you didn't do that though.
Nope.
You have not presumed him innocent. You presumed him guilty. Huh. Anyway, is presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable. So he has not been proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. So why are you saying that he is guilty of what you're saying he is? It's kind of weird.
But see, what happened was
Trump was guilty the day in 2015 when he said he was going to run for president. He was guilty for everything he was going to do after that.
All
guilty.
the time.
Everything guilty.
Basically.
So
this includes attempt to induce state officials to ignore true vote counts, to manufacture fraudulent slates of presidential electors in 7 states that he had lost to force Justice Department's officials and his own Vice President Mike Pence to act in contravention of their oaths, except that's not in contravention of his oath. That actually is part of his job description.
Basically.
You do realize that he is the vice president and he can certify or not certify. Here's how it can work like this there, Jackie boy. If you have people from states that present problems about what happened and they have senators that have signed off on it, you can indeed bring your statements right there, J6th, and have a problem with it, present it, and in that process of looking at it, it can indeed be overturned. That is what he was asking Pence to do.
And here's the crazy part. I saw a video where Pence was in the process of making sure that everything was working properly in terms of votes, and I think it was Arizona who came up and presented a conflict.
Right.
And it only takes one, and there were 7 senators who came up with discrepancies, and then apparently, which was going to work out in favor for Trump, because by the role of the vice president, when they now have to reconvene Congress, and all of them have to go back to their chambers, discuss, recount, figure everything else out, come back, and then start the process all over again.
You know, Marlon, we said it once, we'll say it again. All they had to do is not cheat, because that's what they did. Let Trump finish out these 4 years, and he would have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
He would have been out. He would have been out there, overdone, done. But they wanted this, and they're going to get it. They want what's coming up.
Greg,
it'll be very interesting to me to see how. Wait a minute. I had to look into Greg real quick, and Greg has an interesting page of 5 subscribers and 26 videos.
Oh, so informative. So informative. Put him on blast. Let's see. Let's see.
He has some things about the human digestive system, the heart, the brain.
Is he a doctor?
I don't know. That looks like that's what he's espousing, that he's a doctor.
Oh,
he has 5 subscribers, even though he started back in 2012. That's how retarded this individual is. You're a doctor.
Bruh.
You have information, and you've had this channel for, let me see, that's what, 2012 to 2022 is 10 years, right? 14 years? And you ain't done nothing but what? Talk about the ears, the eyes, the lungs, and you have 5 subs.
How long has our page been around, Marlon? 2 years, 2.5 years?
2 years.
2 years? Yeah.
Anyway, I just had to make people understand something about Greggy Boy, since he wants to talk about who's an expert. You happen to be a so-called expert in your field, and nobody wants to hear you. That should tell you a lot about the choice that you've picked. I would
find a new expertise.
I would find a new expertise. Yes, exactly, Greg. So let's see. To act in contravention of his oath instead of advance Mr. Trump's personal interest on January 6, 2021, to direct an angry mob, again, lies. You see, what I would think Trump should do is libel. Anyway, a mob to the Capitol to obstruct the congressional certification of the presidential election, and then leverage rioters' violence to further delay it. So please,
again, that's a lofty.
How did he leverage that? How? Again, you seem to be saying that you are indeed sure that he is guilty of this, while telling me that these are only allegations. I'm just confused. These individuals included a co-conspirator, a private attorney who is willing to spread knowingly false. How? Okay, again, how is it knowingly false when you have not looked into the counterclaim of it being true or not? That's all I want to know. If you say something is true, and I come forward and say, no, it's not true, you can't then say, I am wrong. People, I mean, listening to us both, can't just automatically say I am wrong without even weighing the two together. So you can't say knowingly. Okay, knowingly false claims and pursue strategies that Mr. Trump's campaign attorneys would not. Hold on. Wait. So Trump didn't go through with nothing, but he's the guy that was ahead of it. Somebody else that knew him they did it, but it wasn't at the behest of Trump. So how is Trump to blame for that?
Everything's his fault. You know this, Marlon.
Oh,
all of it.
Conspirator 2, private attorney, devised and attempted to implement a strategy, leverage over vice president's ministerial role in the certification. Again, how is this Trump? Co-conspirator 3, private attorney who unfounded claims of election fraud Mr. Trump privately acknowledged were crazy, but which he embraced and publicly amplified. No, okay. 4. The Justice Department official who worked on civil matters and who, with Mr. Trump, attempted to use the Justice Department to open sham election crime investigation like yours? Sham election crime investigation? That's what this was, bro.
Yep.
This is projection.
Very much.
How is it? Okay, tell me this, people. How is an investigation a sham? Okay, let's play your game. But let me ask the question. How is an investigation a sham? Now, the premise of the investigation might have been a sham, but an investigation on itself is not a sham.
But even the premise of the premise is based on a person's constitutional right to express disagreement with results.
Yes. What is it? Redress?
Yeah. Which is what the whole thing was, a redress.
Anyway. Conspirator 5, a private attorney who assisted in devising and attempting to implement a plan to submit fraudulent slates of presidential electors to obstruct the certification proceeding. I'm not sure how many people understand how this election process works. Let me just put you on some game here. If these were really fraudulent electors, okay, they wouldn't have been counted anyway.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
I don't know how you. Anyway. 6, private political consultant who helped implement the plan to submit. Okay, yeah. The through line of all Mr. Trump's criminal efforts was deceit, knowingly false claims of election fraud.
So the claim is what he's upset about. But again, going back to 2016 when Hillary lost, the claim was going around that we had what? Russian collusion, Russian interference. They stole the election. It's same claim was going. He's an illegitimate president. The same claim and nothing. There was no investigation into Hillary. There was no investigation into the mainstream media and many other pundits out there that were saying this.
And
why not?
Speaking of violence, Johnny Depp came forward saying he wanted to hang or assassinate the president. You had superstars like Madonna saying she wanted to blow up the White House. Nothing happened to them.
No.
Actual speeches containing violent rhetoric towards the president, they were fine.
Mm-hmm.
People walking through the halls, criminal. On tape, mind you. On tape, they were seen and heard saying this vile stuff.
Guided in at that.
Kathy Griffin, a headless Trump. Nothing done there. Snoop Dogg. Gun. Nothing done there. Eminem. Nothing done there.
Well, what? See, what had happened was that's all free speech to those people.
Oh, free speech.
It's only free speech when they do it. Okay.
It's okay when they do it. It's a problem when we do it.
Yep.
And the evidence shows that Mr. Trump used these lies as a weapon to defeat a federal government function. Defeat it? Foundational to the United States democratic process. It wasn't defeated, though. Didn't it go through?
Yeah, it went through. The same day,
Weird. Mr. Trump's claims includes dozens of specific claims regarding certain states, such as a large number of dead, non-resident, non-citizen, and otherwise ineligible voters had cast ballots, and that voting machines had changed votes for Mr. Trump to votes against him. These claims were demonstrably and in many cases obviously false. How?
Were they?
Where were they investigated? Let me see what 8 says. Let's go to 8. Compare and 11 of them, Mr. Trump asserting that January 6th there were 205,000 more votes than voters in Pennsylvania, which was proven out to be true.
Yes.
So I'm not quite sure how that was a lie.
The more we read this, and the more I think about J6, I think that it was all planned. And I think it was planned by the
Yeah.
DNC. And the reason being is because, as we stated earlier, there were 7 states that had a problem with their electoral counts. They knew this. So they had to do something in order to disrupt the count. And I don't even know when they did the count. I know it was that day. Did they do it in a back room? Did they do it, in secret? And then they came back out and said, we have certified the election. So I think they knew that these states were going to come out and complain about their counts. They had to disrupt that count in order to get them through. No?
You want to know the timeline? Timeline? The people that were at the Capitol building were there before Trump even made his speech.
Yes.
So there were already people there. And by the time Trump said, go over there and make your voices heard, fight, do it peacefully, etc., that's when they let everybody in to disrupt the reconvening of Congress to certify. And then when the chaos happened and the guided tour happened, after that guided tour happened, that's when they reconvened and said, you know what, forget it, just go ahead and give it to Biden. That's what happened. That's the timeline.
They knew it. We're not stupid. Here we go. This witch.
He's gonna head on over here. Yes, I'm angry. Yes, I am outraged. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House. But I know that this won't change anything.
But you do it. That wasn't counted as violent rhetoric and an attempt to overthrow the American government. That wasn't counted like that, right?
But Marla, wouldn't that be considered a terroristic threat?
It is.
But nothing happened.
Yeah.
Huh.
She's still making music.
Yeah. She's good though, because she's a celebrity. She's part of the 1%, the elite. She can say that.
Yeah.
Then you have this.
Jesus Christ. Can you bring Trump here? No, just to... No, you've misunderstood.
Just to give him some love and rehabilitation.
I think he needs help. I'm just going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. But I'd like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
There you go. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president? That's violent rhetoric towards the president. No charges. Nobody thought anything about that. Right? Nobody? Not a soul.
Nope.
That was fine. That was celebrated. Party time.
And Trump says, fight, 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 and go peaceful.
That's
Peacefully.
violent rhetoric.
That's violent rhetoric. Yeah.
I just want y'all to understand that I don't care what Jack Smith says. The man's a moron. He doesn't need to be in any kind of government official capacity. Everyone that backs him and thinks that he makes sense, you're a retarded individual. You don't have 2 brain cells to rub together. You should never have been born. If I was ever pro-choice, it would have been for you. If I was ever pro-choice, you would have been the first victim. Because nobody needs that much retardation walking around this earth.
And we're not legal scholars that we came to that conclusion about you people.
But you're telling me that what Trump said is worse than what both Madonna and Johnny Depp said? That's what you want me to believe? That somebody calling for the assassination of the guy that won and the other one saying to blow up the entirety of the White House is better than people walking through the halls of Congress?
A guided tour.
Which was their legal right to be there because it's a government building?
It's the people's house. Yep.
It is the people's house. Yep.
I find that kind of interesting, Mr. Smith. Your selective outrage, especially people on the left, the selective outrage you people have is incredible. It's incredible to me. This whole document that you put out was in a last-ditch effort to hopefully sway public conscience against President Trump. It didn't work. It will not work. Nobody cares what your documentations are. The only people that like what you have to say are the same brain-dead, smooth-brain idiots that would always have believed you, regardless of what verdict you came to. No one that has a logical mind would ever think that what you're doing makes any sense. You can't name the crime specifically. You bring a bunch of vague points to it, and all these U.S. codes have very little to do with what you say you're charging him with. You can't pin him down on any statements he's made. You mentioned 5 different people that did not even remotely talk to him before they did what they had to do. You had people that you put in prison for something that they acted on that he never said, and he's not involved in any of it. So how is it his fault that any of the people that you say did something wrong, his? How's it his fault?
And also you had people that aren't in jail. They're actively out there inciting people to go inside the Capitol. What was his name?
Epps,
Ray Epps, inciting people to go into the Capitol, and he gets a slap on the wrist. But you go and scoop up a little grandmother, and that it was all to prove a point. They were showing the American people, we don't care if you're an 80-year-old grandmother. We will put you in jail if you try anything like this. It was all a scare tactic.
and it's incredible to me. Now they say he got probation. I don't believe that either.
No,
but he had now he's so free. Ray Epps, who was at the Capitol, who said to go in on film, he was so free he was able to go on 60 Minutes and do an interview. He's not behind bars. He was caught on film saying, "Let's storm, let's go in." His words on camera, his face. That wasn't a problem. He gets to sit down with 60 Minutes.
Yep.
Everybody else, solitary confinement. Justice, though. Right? Justice. And you want me to listen to your little asinine power trip documentation and think, oh, this one makes sense.
And this is one of the, I think this is the biggest reason they're terrified of this new Trump administration, because don't think for a second Trump is not going to declassify everything. Everything will be seen. And a lot of these people are scared. This is why they're leaving their office. This is why they're resigning. This is why they're leaving the country. This is why they're running, because they know that they're guilty and they're wrong. And they're all going to be exposed. Mark my words. It's going to be glorious.
Now, this is what they said, right? They had given him, listen to this, people, 6 months probation. That's what the Justice Department gave him, 6 month probation. You know what that means, right, people? No jail time. You stay home, you do your thing. Everybody else has been in there for 3+ years.
Yep.
He gets 6 months probation. But it's an equal system, of course. And of course, you didn't target Trump specifically, and those specifically who were not a part of your, and I mean, of course, there were no FBI people there, of course not. No, only to the tune of 27. But I mean, outside of that, there weren't any. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
And if you think about Ray Epps' words, he was inciting more violence than Trump. It didn't even compare to what Trump said. Not even close.
Period.
But he gets, and then the people going in, they didn't commit any acts of violence. They were in a guided tour, and they get thrown under the jail. And this guy that's out there inciting people to actually go in and storm the Capitol, using those words specifically, gets 6 months probation. That's our justice system.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically.
You want us to believe that somehow he's the good guy. Let me go ahead.
And I was just going to say, and remember that people out here are running around literally asking for the government to take care of them. This same government.
I want you to listen to this real quick, because this is him. Okay? This is him. This is Mr. Ray. This is sweet baby Ray. Listen carefully to what he says. This is a 60-minute interview.
I'm probably going to go to jail for tomorrow. We need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed.
To some in the crowd, Epps seems so over the top, he must have been a government agent, a Fed sent to entrap them.
When you said we have to go into the Capitol, what were you thinking?
You know, I was just thinking about not wanting to lose my job as a piece of shit FBI undercover agent.
That's over talk. He didn't say that. I just want you to understand that. But the question does warrant a response. If you didn't mean to go into the Capitol, why would you be screaming, we need to go into the Capitol?
Exactly.
And how is it that you can walk free on camera saying such things and no one else that have ever been in jail said those things, but they're in jail? I just want to know how. I know, remind you, you're going after Trump for saying to do something, but not this guy. And if you're saying that it's because of presidential immunity, Trump didn't go to jail. This guy doesn't have presidential immunity and he's not in jail.
Yep. And how long did it take for them to even bring this guy in front of a judge? At least 3 years, right? 2 to 3 years?
Basically, yeah. Basically, yeah.
Years.
He's a Fed.
Plain and simple. So let's hear what they said about these things.
How many FBI agents actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Ms. Sadburn, who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background.
But you have
On January
everybody else, even down to grandma.
Yep.
But you can't answer that.
Yeah, they can't figure out who Ray Epps was, and he's the one on camera speaking, talking. He had a lot of camera time out there at J6. And you can't figure out who he is. His name was all over the place. You mean to tell me you don't know who this guy is? Make it make sense.
The problem is you can't make it make sense because it can't make sense. They don't answer because they can't answer. They will never answer. There is no answer for it because it does not make sense, because they were behind it. Yep. We later found out through documentation that there were indeed confidential sources in the crowd sent by the FBI to incite said insurrection.
Facts.
That is on paper and documented, which is why Jack Smith cannot go through, which is why he had to try and release this documentation to try and combat the truth. It can't go forward as a case because there is no case. In fact, there should be a counter case, which is what I hope Pam Bondi does, is take what they do know about the FBI informants and arrest every last one of them.
That's right.
Waterboard them until they talk about who put them up to it. And I do mean that. I don't care if you use Rambo-like tactics and put them on a bed frame and shock the living lights out of them. I don't care if that's what you have to do. I will go Vietnamese torture chamber on you to get the information. Because this is stupid to me, because now you've cost somebody their life. Possibly. Ashley Babbitt, I mean. You've cost somebody their life. But you've also cost plenty of people their livelihoods because you've taken away their freedom when they did nothing.
Yep.
You deserve every bit of torture you could possibly get. Every FBI agent that was involved, every head that was involved, all of y'all your heads need to roll. Period. That's treason to me. There is a punishment for treason, you know.
Definitively.
Yep.
Yeah.
A legal punishment for treason. And I hope y'all get it. I really do. I don't want y'all to be in no jail for no length of time. That's a waste of tax dollars.
Yeah, and the psychological warfare on the American citizens that actually believe this sham. You know, and they're still spewing it today. They still believe it today. No matter what you show these smooth brains out here, especially on the left, these smooth brain monkeys, they're still going to believe what they heard back in 2020. No matter how much evidence, no matter how many tapes you show them, no matter if you tell them there was 27 FBI agents that were there inciting the violence, they still won't believe it. It's always going to revert back to Trump. Trump's an insurrectionist.
I kind of like that. I'm down with that. I'm down with it. And I would leave them in clothes. You know why? They cannot shake and wipe them off.
It's true. You got to put honey on them and then sticky stuff.
Under the clothes.
Yep.
Y'all remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. Y'all remember that movie?
The Boo Box. Boo.
The Boo Box.
Yeah. But you know, all we can say is, how many more days? What's today?
Today is the 5.
Yeah, 5 more days. And guess who's going in there? The new director of the FBI.
Kash Patel.
Kash isn't playing, dude. I'm telling you. Kash, there's going to be a lot exposed. And again, this is why they're so terrified of these people coming into, you know, this administration. They're terrified. Their days are numbered. They know this.
And they're fearful.
So, It's going to be a great day when all that is exposed for the whole world to see live. We're going to shake this whole system up, and I can't wait.
Now, Friday, I want to go over some of these picks and how they've been, how they were before these senators and all that stuff. I want to talk about their performances. There are a few of them, including, and I was disappointed with him. What's his name for the head of the veterans thing? What was his name again?
Hegseth,
the Fox News guy. Hegseth, yes. I will tell you, and I can be frank about this. I was disappointed in his answering question. The same thing I was on points in certain times with Pam Bondi's response. I wish we would be different and just answer the question and stand on business. When he asked you about Pennsylvania, yes, I do believe there was stuff going on in Pennsylvania. And if you want me to prove it, open a court case. Challenge them to it. Challenge them to the crap they're offering. Give them the opportunity to say, okay, we'll take it to court. Let them put their foot in their mouth. That way, when you do open a case, they can't hold you over nothing because they said they wanted it too.
Yeah.
Stand on business. And Heck said, if you did something, just say it, bro.
That's true.
I mean, what if you say you're frank and you're transparent? Be damn transparent, bro. Just be transparent. I want y'all to be different. Stop trying to be like all the other nominees and talk niceties so you can get in. That's technically lying. But anyway, I do want to go over a few of them and watch their answers because, trust me, it was aggravating to hear. Even though I understand that the Democrats ask him stupid questions, your answers could have easily shut them down because of how stupid the questions were, and he didn't do it. And that was disappointing. But again, ain't everybody me. Okay, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and not everybody can handle that. So sometimes too much frankness is what people need, but they don't have it.
Especially in today, we need it more.
Why we're not as big as we should be. Say again.
Especially today, we need it more.
We needed more. Needed more. So if the rally kicks off, we more likely will stream it. If it kicks off, but we definitely are streaming the inauguration on Monday.
Yes.
Cool. Okay, we are. So look for that. Okay. So we'll catch you guys on Friday. Hopefully Cole will be back. He had some other family issues. Bear with us. And so we'll be back on then to talk about these so-called nominations and see how it all went. Okay. But check us Sunday for sure. Monday. But check Sunday to see if we're streaming this so-called rally. But for sure Monday we'll be back to stream the inauguration, whether or not Big Mike shows up. And I don't mean this Big Mike. I mean Obama's Big Mike. Okay. So you know. Mr. Lee.
Like, share, comment, subscribe.
Peace, we out.
Friday.